Welcome to the Autosportradio.com 2021 show. We are still at the Grand King Race Shops at 8155 Crawfordsville Road in Indianapolis. Again, I remind you, if you ever get a chance to come down here and take a look, by all means do it. It's really a great place to be. It is a working museum. Today's show is presented by Honda and Honda HPD, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the NTT IndyCar Series, SVRA, McGilvery's Pub and Eatery and Speedway, and VP Insurance. If you're looking for something for a race fan, a piece of memorabilia or something they'd like to have, I highly recommend the 500shop.com. I've been there. They've got everything. So check it out, the 500shop.com. If you can't find it there, it probably doesn't even exist. The PR director of SVRA, Vice President of PR, has a new book out. It's called The Legend of the First Super Speedway, The Battle for the Soul of American Auto Racing by Mark Dill. It is phenomenal. I'm reading it, and I don't get the chance to read it 8 or 9 hours a day. I'm reading it. It's really an interesting book. I think you'll really enjoy it. It starts in about 1902 following Barney Oldfield. It's quite interesting story. Speaking of interesting stories, Paul Page has a book coming out the 1st of May. It's called Hello, I'm Paul Page. It's Race Day in Indianapolis. It can be pre-ordered, and I highly recommend you do that. You go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble, pre-order it, because it comes out the 1st of May, and he'll be at the Speedway with a few pens, and you can get it autographed. It should be a good book. Got a lot of stories that the guy has, and he remembered them, which is kind of amazing in and of itself. Do you have computer problems? Fortunately, I've been going along for about a week now without any, but if you have one, we recommend A+ Affordable Computer Doctor. Steve Freeze is a man. He can fix most anything, and if it's difficult for you to get to his shop, he'll come to you. Give him a call, tell him your problem, see what he can do to help you. Number is 317-328-0766. And everybody's favorite visit for a doctor, it's of course the dentist. Everybody loves to go. I'm going to tell you somewhere you're going to go. You're going to like it, actually. The Indy Dental Group, Indy 500 veteran Dr. Jack Miller and his wife, Dr. Liz Lewis, have a spectacular practice. I can tell you, you're going to love it. So give them a call, make an appointment, get your dental work done by the best. 317-846-6125. Have you ever wondered why the guys and gals like to drive Indy cars going now in the area of about 240 miles an hour on the Speedway? Well, there's a way to find out. Take a ride in the Indy Racing Experience 2-seater. It is phenomenal. There's only been one person said, ho, but then when they realized what was going on, they loved it. So give them a call or go online to indyracingexperience.com and find a date that works for you. Book a ride, and in the promo box, put DK1, you get a 50% discount. Or you can call Shonda at 317-243-7171. When it's time to get your insurance, the commissioner of insurance in Indiana says, every so often check to make sure you're getting the best price. And I'm going to recommend when you check, call Mike Pardee at VP Insurance at 5004 West 16th Street. You're going to be surprised. You get better coverage for less money. Mike can handle it all. So call him, tell him what you need. He'll tell you what he can do to help you. Number is 317-248-0070. Have you got a vintage car, or would you like to have one and you need to call the Grand King Race Shop? They can help you on both ends. If yours needs to be restored, they can do that. Or if you're looking to buy one, they got them. So give them a call. The number is 317-820-3595. Tell them what you got or what you're looking for, and they can help you. And while you're on the phone, see if you can set up to come down and view the shop. You'll love it. It's really quite nice. The Trans Am series, which was huge at one time, is now back and running full speed ahead. Tony Perella has control of it. He owns it now, and they're really booming along. So I suggest you go to svra.com and check the schedule. And while you're there, I recommend highly that you subscribe to Speed Tour Magazine. It's a first-class publication. A lot of great stories, pictures, and when they have an event in an area, they tell you where the best places are to go. So go to svra.com. Click on the schedule button and see where they're running. If they're anywhere you can get to, I highly recommend that you go. And subscribe to Speed Tour Magazine while you're there. We are here today with one of the originals, I would like to say. He is known as KO. He's a member of 3 Midget Car Hall of Fames, the National Midget Car Hall of Fame, the USAC Midget Car Hall of Fame, and I do believe somehow he snuck into Sun Prairie Hall of Fame. I'm not sure about that. We'll have to confirm it. He's an author and he's a race car driver. Please welcome my friend, Mr. Kevin Olson. Kevin, how you doing?
Good. You forgot to mention that I am a computer wizard. For all the people listening, I had take about 15 minutes to kind of get these guys turned around a little bit. Luckily, I was able to compute what was wrong, and we're here.
Yes, well, we appreciate your help. I can assure you. Guys like you are what save autosport. Trust me. So, Kevin, what got you started into racing? You couldn't get a job at McDonald's or something? What happened? How did you start driving race cars?
Actually, I was working at McDonald's, and I was up in Dearborn, Michigan at the time. And one day Roger Penske came through, and I sold him his lunch. And for some odd reason, he didn't have enough money on him. So I told him, I said, Skip, just give me what you got there and I'll take care of it. And he, from that point on, he was always backing me, whatever I wanted to do.
Boy, oh boy, you start right at the top. That's the way to do it.
Well, that's the way I like to do things. Start at the top and work my way to the bottom,
What attracted you to driving, and particularly midgets? Because as I say, you're in 3 midget car halls of fame. What attracted you to the midget?
Well, when I was a kid, my dad took me and my brother Lauren to at Springfield to the mile to watch the big cars run back then. At the end, I was just a kid. It was the late 50s, and watching guys like Johnny Thompson and Jimmy Bryan and these guys run that, it just fascinated me. And as we got a little older, we raced quarter midgets, and from there, I followed the USAC midget trail and got to be a big fan of Bob Tattersall, and I just was sold on the whole idea of getting out of the McDonald's deal and trying to make a huge living and tons of money racing midgets.
And you succeeded in one part. How did the second part make it huge money work out?
We're still working on that. I mean, if I can win this race this weekend, I'll pretty well be set.
I see. You think you can hang it up then?
Oh, no, I'm not quite yet. Maybe one of these days. I got the farewell tour going here right now with t-shirts. So yeah, we're hanging it up right after this tour.
Where's the opening event for you?
We race Sunday in LaSalle, Illinois with the Badger Club. So I don't know how many races I'll be able to get a ride for, but we're planning on doing as many as I can with Donnie Clevin up here, the guy that's been good enough to give me a ride the last 4 or 5 years.
And just so happens that I lived in LaSalle for about 15 years. In fact,
Really?
when I lived there, the track wasn't built yet.
Right. Yeah. I thought they had shut down here a couple of years ago, and of course last year with COVID, but no, that's a neat little racetrack, and I'm glad they're going again. And incidentally, when you mentioned that you lived there, I'd never crossed my mind now, but I was in the post office one day, and for some reason they had your picture hung in there, you and a bunch of guys. So I never really knew you lived there, but now I put it together.
That was on a clipboard hanging up on the wall. Yeah, I'm famous for that.
Okay.
It's amazing. The career you've had has been spectacular. You've won some really excellent, top of the line events. In fact, if I remember right, the last time you went to the Chili Bowl, you tried to drive with a leather helmet and a t-shirt. I don't know how did that work out?
Well, that was a few years ago.
Yeah. Well.
Actually, it worked out really good because I actually was the last man in open wheel history to ever run a open face helmet, bandana, and t-shirt in a professional event. So that was pretty big for me. The Emmett Hahn, of course, he loves anything like that, with me anyway, and he agreed to let me do it. And after it was all over, I mean, some people really thought it was great. Most of them did, but there was a few people that were. One guy wrote in and was concerned that I might burn to death in front of his kids or something on the track. But I think that's really the way the drivers should be today. They really should be in t-shirts and an open face helmet so the people can see them and see them moving their arms and driving the car. But They haven't got quite back to that yet, but I'm sure they will.
Oh, no question. Are you still running? In fact, I think one of your last feature wins was at Sun Prairie, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were lucked out and won one here, not last year, the year before, and we're going to run a bunch of races back up there again this year. I guess last year they weren't open, but it looks like now they're going to open up. So if I could win another one up there, I probably would end the farewell tour right then. So we'll see how it goes.
Now you are known to be a little what they call zany. I don't quite understand what that means. However, you have written a book, and it's called "Monkeys Belong in Cages," which makes sense. But I think that's your second book. You wrote one prior to that.
Well, actually, the title of that book that I wrote last was "Cages Are for Monkeys."
That's what I
That's
said.
what it is.
Isn't that what I said?
No, you said monkeys belong.
Meaning
Same thing.
roll cages, because
Yeah.
that's another thing they really should be doing away with. And unfortunately, they look like they're here for a while to stay, but they give these young kids too much sense of false security, which there really shouldn't be, because these cars still are dangerous, even with or without a cage.
What was the first book you wrote?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that one was taken off the market a while back. It's called Yank My Doodle, It's a Dandy.
Oh,
And that one they took off of Amazon here a while back, but we might try to revive it again.
How long does it take you to? I'm surprised when I mentioned to a couple of people, KO wrote a book. They said, "Really? Can he spell?" I said, "I don't know. Maybe he had somebody help him."
Well, I just wanted pictures, like a picture book, but the editor said, "No, you actually got to write something." So, I actually had to sit down and try to write some of it. But nowadays with the spell check and, just talking to the microphone, it's a little easier. But I actually did mine on a old typewriter like Chris Economaki had. So I think it looks a little better when you read it.
Yeah, no question about it. You can see right away that it was done on a Royal or something like that.
Yeah.
What are some of the most exciting races that you've won or have been in, for that matter?
Well, for me, I guess the pinnacle of my success, and what actually was the one race that I wanted to win, and had I been given a choice, if they paid the same to win that or the Indy 500, I would have taken what I won, which was the Ascot Turkey Night Grand Prix, the USAC Turkey Night race, which to me was the ultimate race because of all the greats that won it, and how hard or lucky you got to be to win it. It was at Ascot Park, and in Gardena, which no longer is there.
Right. Who were some of the toughest guys you've competed against? Now, being around for a little over 50 years, you've raced about some of the biggest names that are still alive and well today.
Well, not saying I beat them all. In fact, didn't beat hardly any of them. But this will be the start of my 52nd year, so I go back to the days when guys were some of the real big names were starting to get older and going to retire, so they weren't maybe going as fast like I am today. But I raced with AJ Foyt at Terre Haute. I raced the guys in my real eras, that were absolutely the toughest. Was Rich Vogler, of course, Sleepy Trick, Pancho Carter, those kind of guys, Jimmy Carruthers, boy. And even to this day, it's hard for me to compare eras just because of the equipment, but those guys, when I first started, were absolutely superhuman, and I think back then there was more of a driver element than the car, where I think today the car does way too much of the work, and are way too easy to drive.
You have started an effort with IRMA, Indiana Racing Memorial Association, to honor somebody who I assume was one of your idols, Bob Tattersall from Streeter, Illinois. How is that program coming together?
Really,
the funding?
really good. Bob Tattersall was definitely one of my most biggest heroes as a kid, watching him run the USAC Midget Trail and hearing the stories about him and all the races he won and everything. But ironically, Bob, I never, other than running down to the pit area and getting his autograph and just standing there listening to him, that was the only conversation I ever had with him. And now today, because he was such a big impact on me, I want to try to get this sign like they did for Brian Clausen and the Bettenhausens and the Vukovic's erected in his hometown of Streator. And we're doing real well. The sign's actually been ordered. Bob Gates, of course, is taking care of all that. I'm just raising the money, and we're doing pretty well. We've had enough money to order the sign, but we still probably need a little more for when they installing it and all the other extras. So we've done real well with it. We could still use some odd donations if people are still interested. They could send any of the donations. It's at a bank. It's the State Bank of Cross Plains in Evansville, Wisconsin, and it's box 409, Evansville, Wisconsin, 53536 4050, and make it to the Bob Tattersall plaque. And that way, whatever we need to get done, it'll get done. And I think for the old timers out there that remember Bob and stuff, are getting up there in age and everything, I think they really would love to be able to see something like this happen, as well as his wife, Dee Tattersall, who's still doing very well at 88 years old. So same age as I am, and you too, Don. So it's kind of ironic, all three of us are same age.
Yeah, I don't understand that. But give me the name of the bank and the address again, one more time. So, because there's people around here, when they see this, they're likely to send a check.
Yeah, it's the State Bank of Cross Plains, it's called, and its address is box 409, Evansville, Wisconsin, 53536 4050, and it's donations made to the Bob Tattersall plaque.
All right, we can scare up a few dollars and make it happen. Are you planning, when this thing gets in, you're going to have somebody equally as old as there to make the announcement? And Howdy Bell, have you put in a request for him to be up there?
Well, I was thinking about Sid Collins or Paul Page. I haven't been able to get a hold of Sid, but Paul, I might possibly do it. But they'll have a little ceremony, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And a luncheon and all that kind of things. It's really done very well. Bob Gates and the American Historical Science Society that he's with there, they do a nice program there. I think they did one for the Hoosier 100 also, for the track out there, and they've done quite a few of them. So it's going to be a pretty neat time. We hope to have the sign done and ready to go up in early June, probably very early in the month, I would think.
Well, that's good. And I'm sure Paul would be available. Probably want to bring some of his books along in case somebody wanted to buy them, he could sign them.
Sure. We can do that.
Now, did you ever race, as they say, down under?
Yeah, I went to New Zealand. I was teammates with Larry Rice and Sleepy Trip, actually. And we won the world, whatever they call that, international racing series, where we raced against the Australians and New Zealanders. We were on the American team. There was three of us. And then I went to Australia also with Jeff Gordon as a teammate. Actually, Jeff was virtually nobody in the racing world and was ready to cash in and go back to getting his job that he was at Wendy's at the time. And I kind of, give him a few tips and pointers and made him follow me around on the racetrack. After the races, I'd have him go with me to the local saloons and stuff. And, I taught him a lot. And ironically, he left Australia there, got a ride with the Bush team. And, after a few phone calls to me, all of a sudden, he was doing very well. And I think he's still out there racing, but I think under a different name. Somebody told me he was using Kyle Larson for a name now, but I could be wrong on that. Maybe it was Judd Larson.
Well, it's hard for me to believe until now that you are known and well known to have an off-the-wall sense of humor and like to pull pranks. Now, I find that hard to believe, but somehow everybody doesn't say who, because the latest book, the Foreword, was written by Tony Stewart. Now, how in the world did you get him to do that?
Well, again, Tony was down on his luck and, ready to cash in. He worked at Burger King and Dairy Queen down there in Columbus. Same type of thing, where one day, I lent him a little bit money to get going, and he just kind of, I just called in that favor, and he avoided me for months, and then finally, he did it. But he's a good man. He's helped me a lot through the years, and got a pretty nice trailer down there in Columbus now that he built and lives in on his land there. But he's doing pretty well. I guess anyway. I think he was under an assumed name here recently too, but I'm not sure. Something about Christopher Bell or somebody.
Well, has it ever crossed your mind that maybe, now let's go back a second. I called you probably a month and a half ago and I said, I'd like to do this. And you said, well, I'm in rehab. I said, for what? Well, I've climbed up a 12-foot ladder, but I didn't get down to the bottom the same way I got up. I fell. Now, have you learned that maybe climbing ladders isn't your forte anymore?
It was a 12-foot ladder. I was actually cutting a tree branch, and of course, I'm not always the most thorough at safety stuff, and I just ran up there with a chainsaw in one hand. The ladder was kind of rocking around on a tree, and I didn't think it was no big deal. And when I cut the branch, I was actually sitting on the wrong side where I cut. It was just like in the cartoons, when you cut it, and the tree went down, and I hung in the air for a couple of seconds, like the cartoon, the coyote guy. And then all of a sudden I went down, hit the ground pretty hard, which really, I'm still kind of a little bit sore yet from that. It was in October actually, but I broke 3 vertebrae in my back. I broke L1, 3, and 4. I had a concussion and I don't know, a few other things, but it's been a pretty tough one to shake at my age now, but I think we're going to be all right. I had to have some eye surgery here a couple of weeks ago, and that's kind of clearing up now too. And it's been kind of a history of misfortunes man-made by me, really. I've spent 3 months in a burn unit in the 70s, and I spent I broke in 83. I broke my back in T3, 4, and 5 in Seattle in a race car, and then at Hales Corners the next year I broke C1 and 2. I broke my neck at Hales Corners, and then in 85 I got run over by a drunk driver, and then a couple of years ago I had a car hoist fall on me, and I broke my ribs and something else. I can't remember. Oh yeah, I punctured a lung, and then I had a motorcycle wreck. So it's been a rough few years here for me, but I seem to be doing okay, and I still can count my fingers, so I'm doing pretty good.
Take your computer screen and pull it down a little bit. There you go. That's better. It's amazing to me that your race drivers have accidents, they get hurt, and the first thing they want to do is get back in the car. How soon can I get back in the car? And it
the young ones anyway.
Well, yeah, anymore. Yeah, it takes a little longer. You've noticed as you go up the ladder in age, it takes a little longer to recover.
It sure does. And it's funny you say that about, all you think about is a race car. The first times I got hurt, that's exactly what I thought. When I broke my neck, I'm laying there in the hospital, and I'm moving my feet back and forth because I was worried maybe I was going to be paralyzed or something. And first thing I thought of, boy, this is really going to upset my, racing schedule, but then if you flash back 40 years after that, when I was laying in the hospital last time, I'm going, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to race again or not, but it still crosses your mind, but maybe just a little bit slower, but it definitely takes longer to heal. When I broke my back, was in a body cast. I remember I was confused with the doctor when I tried to get a release from him to run Wilkie's car at Hales Corners, on my return from breaking my back in 3 places. And I thought he said it was okay, but I guess he probably, I found out later, said no. So I went to the track and actually wore my body brace in hot laps, because I thought, well, no sense taking a chance. Well, I went out in hot lap with this body brace on, but it was kind of like when you pulled the seat belts down, you couldn't feel nothing. And the top of it was coming right to the top of my chin. And I thought, if I flip, it might cut my head off or something. So I pulled back in and took the body brace off, but we did run that night. Matter of fact, we actually won the USAC race there that night.
Oh,
so it's been, I haven't always followed things by the rules completely, but it definitely takes a little longer these days. When I fell off that ladder, I was really concerned that I was ever going to be able to move for a while. I just kind of was beat up pretty bad, but I'm in pretty good shape now. We're going to run in a few days, so we'll find out. I just hope nobody starts next to me. I'm going to see if they'll let me start single file because of my eyes and my back and everything.
I can see.
I don't see why they wouldn't.
I can see an announcement to the grandstands. In lieu of his injuries, we're going to start single file, so Kevin has a better shot. And I contacted you about 2 or 3 weeks ago about doing this, and you sent me a picture. And I said, "How does the other guy look? Because both your eyes are swollen, they're black and blue." I said, "Good, the other guy must look terrible."
It was real bad. It's funny. You contact me now. It's been about 6 weeks or something, and for some reason, I would call almost every day. I'd say, I'm ready, ready to go. And then, every time you tell me, well, I just can't do it. And then, after 90 straight days or something, you finally said, oh, I guess I'm good tomorrow. So this is great that it worked out.
Oh, geez, I don't know. Why did I do this? I have to take my hat off to you. When I forget, it was the USAC or the National Midget Car Hall of Fame when you got elected to it. And I said, boy, how did that happen? And your answer was, do you remember?
Well, the Sleepy Trip is the one that really, I thought, had the right idea. He said they must have really been short of candidates or names that year, So that's what they just picked mine because there wasn't nobody, they must have been short that year, what he figured. But no, I don't remember really.
Well, what you told me is I had the easiest name to spell.
I had to what?
You had the easiest name to spell.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense too,
Well, I don't know about that, my friend. I've known you for a long time. You certainly deserve being in it. You're a throwback to the sport in the good old days when the guys that people now go, oh, they were great. They got started the same way you did. And the midget cars, they worked their way up through that. And you certainly are deserving to be in the Hall of Fame. And I can assure you when people say we're going to go to the race, watch for Kevin. Oh, is he going to be there? Yeah, see what he does this time.
Well,
it's always a fun day when Kevin's around.
Well, I was pretty good in my day. Unfortunately, these are all night races, so it might make a difference. But, people say, is he going to be there? Is he going to be there? And, the people are wanting to come. Well, unfortunately, I owe most of those people money and, I have to leave really fast after the races. So, it's really good for the promoter because these guys are going to come back again and again to find me, because I borrowed tools, money, girlfriend, something from, and, I think that's what's happening here. But that's my opinion anyway.
Well, I'm not going to ask in case you're right. Somebody might say, do you know how to get a hold of them? And I'd have to lie and say no. Well, listen, I tell you what, I wish you nothing but the best in LaSalle. I have a friend of mine who will be there and give me the straight skinny, because if I ask you, you give me a bunch of hooey anyway. So I'll find out the straight story, but good luck to you. I can congratulate you on an outstanding career and
but we're not done yet, Don. I hope anyway. I hope there's I hope there's a few more wins there. And, you know, I still enjoy this racing and being around part of it. You know, I find like, I kind of feel like, you know, with the young kids now, I mean, I'm just the old guy that, you know, they feel sorry for, but if I figure if I still think I can win a race, and I'm going to keep going, you know, but age definitely does have a little bit of a factor. But, you know, one of my big plans this year is to jump the start and maybe cut through the infield at times and stuff. And, you know, there's still that win out there, I'm pretty sure. And it's pretty hard to kill me off. You know, I get hurt real easy and break real easy, but it's pretty hard to kill me off. So I should be around another year.
I don't know. I hope that you get everything you need, and hopefully we'll get some calls and some donations to finish up the Bob Tattersall thing.
That'd be great. That'd be
nice
great.
Somebody throw in a couple $100 extra so we could have a steak dinner.
Yeah, we're hoping that we get enough money that, you know, we'll have a nice lunch and all that. And I think it's for a good cause, and really it's, like I said, for D. Tattersall, that for the old guys that remember Bob. I mean, you know, he was a real character and a real tough guy, a World War II veteran. He actually got a Purple Heart. His wife told me he was, you know, honored for a couple different things in the war, and just a great guy that all of us old guys got to kind of stick together as we get older, because they forget you so quick. So I sure hope that I know they'll forget me immediately, which, you know, I don't blame them there. But Tattersall, we gotta remember. So,
well, I got news for you, my friend. Anybody who's had a chance to be around you, talk to you, listen to you, they're not going to forget you.
Well, they usually don't stick around very long when they, you know, they run for the corners after a while. But I appreciate it, Don. I appreciate letting me come on here and, you know, stop down there one of these days and check in with you guys.
I hope you do. And good luck this weekend. And I say, I have a friend of mine there, and if he's got enough money, it's the extra $5 to get into the pit area.
Well, that sounds good, man. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Good luck to you, and we'll look forward to seeing you somewhere and chatting with you. Hope everything goes well, and don't break anything more. You're running out of things to break.
All right, man. I only got 9 vertebrae broke. I still got a couple left. But, you know, I don't. My doctor is kind of not too happy with all this, but you know, there's a lot more old drunks than old doctors. So what's he know? You know. Anyway, take care, buddy. Tell your friends about this place.
All right, take care.
All right, man. Bye.
My guest has been KO, Kevin Olson, a legend in his own mind and it's time. Great guy, a great race car driver, and as you noticed, they call him Zany. He is. Until next time, we got some more guests lined up, so we'll be back here again soon. Keep up with us. Until then, Don Kay saying thanks for being here. We'll catch you next time.